Antti Raanta makes the save and will hang on Clayton Keller's drive. Now Arizona trying to get something going and a chance. And another save from Ranta's Alex Kerfoot puts one up high. Now here's the chance coming in on the backhand and ringing the post is Necas. And somehow it gets under Ingram. And this was in front of the Canes All-Star. And now Aho will regroup, taking a look. He'll drop it. Up top, Burns. Send it cross. Necas, they score! On the power play! Oh, picture perfect. Marty Necas, we're tied at 1. Chance on front. What a big save on Antti Raanta using the glove on Jason Zucker. 47 seconds. Canes will win the draw. Comes all the way back for Chatfield. He'll get it back in deep. On the stick of Drury. Now back for Orlov. Orlov. Orlov picks the corner. 35.9 left. The Canes take the 2-1 lead. And that forces Ingram to stay the net. And the Canes get the shot right on. Ingram with the second chance to score. Jesper Fast knocks it home. They're going to take a look at it. But right now, the Canes are up 3-1.
And welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. Hi, everyone. I am Adam Gold from PNC Arena, where we will not be for another 10 days. All-star break time, and what a good way to go into the break as the Hurricanes pick up a 3-1 win over Arizona that frankly should have been a lot worse than 3-1. You're just not going to see more dominance than we saw over the last 2 periods. It was amazing. I'm going to read you the numbers in just a second. Not that you need numbers to know what happened here for the last 2 periods, especially the last 20 minutes, but absolutely mind-blowing how one-sided it really was. We are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. Hope if you'll contact them if you need anything for your home, your home improvement needs. AluminumCompany.com. All right. Goal scorers tonight. Marty Necas on the power play. That looked inevitable. We'll talk a little bit about that power play. There was Necas tied it up at 1. Then Orlov with 36 seconds left makes it 2-1. And then Jesper Fast takes on insurance 13 seconds later. It would have been absolutely criminal to get out of the third period without having scored a goal. Criminal. It was that one-sided. It was ridiculous how dominant Carolina was in the third period. Just want to go back and confirm the number because the number did change a couple of times. Carolina had, as it turned out, 18 shots on goal in the third period. 18 to nothing. Yes. 18 to nothing shots on goal in the third period. All right, here are the first of all, I thought through 20 minutes, I thought it was a pretty even game. I actually thought Arizona was a little bit better than Carolina in the first 2 periods. Canes had some scoring chances, which I think skewed the way we might look at the period, but I didn't think Carolina was all that great. I think Rod Brindamore basically said it. Like the first period was okay. To me, it was kind of a boring, blah period. And as I like to joke, we did not grow the game in the first period of this one. But over the last 2 periods, Carolina it was like they were playing against the House League team, but somehow still not really able to score. All right, so in the last 2 periods, here's the numbers. Shots on goal, 32-3, including 18-0 in the third. 18-0 in the third period. Huh? Shot attempt, 67-18 in favor of Carolina in the last 2 periods. Scoring chances, These numbers are courtesy of naturalstattrick.com. 33-6. Grade A's, 17-2. And somehow, Carolina got the power play goal from Necas, which was a great play. Again, we're going to talk about the power play in a second. And then they had to wait until they were like in the last minute of the game before Orlov and Fast scored back to back. What? It is what it is. That's how dominant Carolina was in the last two periods. Like, I don't know how Arizona was supposed to score without the puck. It's hard. It's really hard. Although they did it against Pittsburgh about a week or so ago. I don't know how many people saw that. Logan Krause, who's got, I think, 18 or 19 goals. Hold on. I'll get the official number. Logan Krause has 19 goals, and number 19, actually, he scored while not even being on the ice. If you hadn't seen the highlight or read about it or heard about it, so Pittsburgh is playing out at Arizona, and it's a delayed penalty that wasn't on Krause. I don't even know who the delayed penalty was on, but Krause was on the ice when before the delayed penalty was called. But he got off the ice, and he was the last person to touch the puck, and it was like 30 seconds in between Krause getting rid of the puck and the whistle blowing. Krause leaves the ice. Chris Letang is trying to pass it to Yevgeny Malkin in front. It was very close, obviously, to the Pittsburgh net. The goalie is out because you have a delayed penalty. And Malkin mishandled the puck, and it trickled across the goal line for a goal. And because the NHL rule is the last player they don't have own goals in the NHL. The last player to touch the puck for Arizona officially gets the goal. And it was Krause. Krause wasn't on the ice. It's amazing. Anyway, so Arizona, I guess, can score a goal without touching the puck. But they didn't have it in the last two periods. Just that was vintage Hurricanes hockey. So the Canes have now 5 times in the last 10 games have yielded less than 20 shots. It's been less than, I want to get, hold on one second. Let me get the number. 11 tonight, 12 against Detroit. Remember that game? 12 against Detroit a few games ago. It was 19 against Minnesota. They lost that game. 16 against Anaheim, they won. 17 against the Capitals, they won. Like, other than the Wild game, which happens, I guess, they've been like they're at least getting rewarded for their dominance. But there was a time tonight where we weren't sure that was going to happen. It was looking like one of those types of games. And I will say, very late in the period, it looked like Arizona had gotten a shot on goal, and then Raanta had to make a save. As it turns out, I believe it was a quick shot that was wide. But it was one of the only opportunities Arizona had even remotely to get a puck past Antti Raanta. And again, that would have been criminal if he didn't win that game. Would have been absolutely robbery on the part of the Coyotes if they would have won that game in regulation. But even Arizona's first goal was kind of fluky. I do want to get to the power play. Let me just get to the one goal that was kind of fluky. This is, I don't know, 15 minutes into the game. It's really a poor line change by Drury, Necas, and at that point, Nason. The lines flipped early in the second period. Rod changed the winger, exchanged wingers all over the place. But a poor line change by Necas, Drury, and Nason, who went off the ice when the puck was basically in the neutral zone being advanced into the Carolina end. And what it did was it put Carolina a little bit behind the play, not necessarily in front of the net, but it was a Dylan Gunther had the puck all alone on the right-hand side. So he was able to drift in and get a clean look on Antti Raanta. It wasn't a great shot, and it really didn't look like it was intended to even be a goal. I think he was shooting for a rebound, and it went off the right pad of Raanta, off of Logan Cooley's body and in. So very fluky goal. But I will assign some responsibility, not just to the poor line change, but if you're Michael Bunting and you're skating down the middle of the ice and Logan Cooley is in front of the net. Actually, you were skating with Logan Cooley. I said this the other day when Orlov was with Kirill Kaprizov against the Wild, the game they lost. Like, that's that's a guy that somebody has to take responsibility for. Are you closest to that person? Yeah, and it's you. So Michael needed to stay with Logan Cooley, need to battle with him and keep him away from the left side of Raanta. And again, unlucky on the part of Raanta because he makes a save. It wasn't a great shot, but he kicks it he, off the pad, off of Cooley's body, floats in, 1-0. All right, now to the power play, which was 1 for 2 tonight, I think, officially. So early in the power play, Necas, who was on the top unit in the first period, but not on the top unit in the second period or the third period. Not first period, first power play. Second power play, Necas was with the second unit. But Necas had an early one-timer, and he basically chunked it. And it just I mean, he got like 20% of it, and the puck, he elevated it at least, but it just kind of floated over the net. I mean, he just didn't hit it right. But Carolina kept the play in the zone the entire time. Burns gets the puck back, and he's at the top of the umbrella, and he could have gone right back to Necas, which I thought would have been the play. Instead, he went to the other side to Aho. Eventually, the puck goes back to Burns, who gets it to Jarvis in the slot, who pushed it over to Necas for the one-timer. That was a goal. But I would have gone right back to Necas because, look, he's been super dangerous, whether it's from that spot or just in general. Boy, this Martin Necas, the 5 games that's coming back from the injury, whoa, baby. Because it's not just the goals. That line has been awesome. Again, mostly it's been Drury with Necas and Nason. The switch Rod made for, I have a theory, for early in the second period was he took Martinook and moved him up with Aho and Teravan. He took Bunting and he basically flipped Bunting and Martinook. And then he also flipped Nason with no Bunting went to Drury and Necas. So he didn't flip Martinook and Bunting, but Nason ended up with Kochetkov and Lemieux, and Jesper Fast bumped up to play with Jarvis and Staal. So that line was essentially the same as it usually is, because Martinook and Fast are very interchangeable. So that line basically looked the same. But I think he moved Martinook up there because they were kind of getting beat defensively a little bit, and that's the one part of Michael Bunting's game that has to get better. Now, I thought he played a pretty good game tonight, but defensively, he has to get better. Forechecking, he has to get better. And I thought we saw some positive signs there, but they need more of that from Michael Bunting. Whether he's a defensive guy or not, you don't really get to not be a defensive guy on this team. Ultimately, it will factor ice time. But so I think that's why Rod did that. And I mean, Bunting was still in a good spot. He's playing with 2 good players, playing with Necas and Drury. And again, another good game from Jack Drury. By the way, the Canes had about 2/3, one about 2/3 of the faceoffs. But so Rod flipped his lines. And from the time he flipped the lines to the end of the game, yeah, it looked like it was a smart decision. Um, but that first power play was really good. The second power play didn't like as much. Dimitri Orlov, by the way, drew that. He was a very deserving first star tonight. But so Rod has basically stayed with the same line. And when Andrei Svechnikov comes back to the team after the All-Star break, I fully expect him to be playing with Aho and Teravainen again. And then we'll see Brendan Lemieux go back upstairs. But I also thought we saw some decent signs from Kotkaniemi tonight. I didn't think he look, nobody was bad. I mean, they dominated the game. Um, and if we could just spend 2 seconds just going, Jacob Slavin, you're really good. That is it. That is it. Jacob Slavin is stupid good. I mean, was he one of the best 3 players on the ice tonight? He's probably the best player on the ice, to be honest. And I think he was probably the best player on the ice Thursday against the Devils and Wednesday in Boston. He's been that good. Just where you without him, I don't know. I don't know, but you don't have to worry about it because you have it. Gosh, he did so many good things. All right, Antti Raanta tonight. We're going to look at the numbers, and you're going to go, well, 11 shots on goal. How good was Raanta? He was pretty good tonight. He really was. He made some big saves early. The save, what you heard in the opening montage, early save on Clayton Keller, really good. He had a good quick save. As a matter of fact, I used it to save on Jason Zucker, and the reason I used it because that was the last shot on goal for Arizona. It came with about 4 minutes to go in the second period. That was the last shot on goal for Arizona. A monumentous occasion. But Ronta's made 7 starts since the new year. 7. He's made 8 appearances, 7 starts. He relieved Kochetkov in the game where Kochetkov took the shot. Who was that against again? I don't even remember anymore. I think it was against Anaheim. And Kochetkov went out. By the way, he's fine. He was the backup tonight. He'll be back on the ice. My guess is he'll start that first game against Vancouver. Just a guess. Anyway, Ronta's made 7 starts in 24. It's 5-2-1. And in 5 of the 7 starts, he has allowed 2 or fewer goals. I don't care what the underlying numbers are. If you have 5 starts where you allow 2 or fewer goals out of 7, I'll bet you the team's going to win a lot of those. A lot of them. One of them they didn't. They lost it overtime. Lost it a shootout to St. Louis. He was great. That might have been his best game, to be honest. But again, 5 of his last 7 starts, 2 or fewer goals allowed. Again, don't get wrapped up in the numbers and the percentages and all of that. His job is to give Carolina a chance to win. And he's done that. So all the other stuff with Raanta, which we like, the person and all of that, the way people feel about him, the way his teammates feel about him, that's all great. But his primary job is to stop the puck. And nothing else really matters as long as he's doing that. I mean, but it all counts. It's part of who he is. And I don't want to stumble through this, but his primary job is to give Carolina a chance to win, and he's done that. And good for him, man, because this could have gone the other way. Really could have gone the other way. Um, just a quick thing about goaltending. So Kochetkov activated. Spencer Martin was not waived. Carolina recognizes this much. Right now, they've got on their roster in the NHL, they've got 13 forwards, 7 defensemen, so you can carry a third goalie. And they're not worried about not getting Spencer Martin action. Spencer Martin is an insurance policy right now. That's all he is, an insurance policy. So as long as Kochetkov and Raanta are healthy, those will be your two goalies. Every once in a while, I can see Martin being the backup. So if Kochetkov starts, you could have Martin as the backup. You don't necessarily need Raanta to be there. And if it's a Raanta start, you can have Martin be. You could do that. I don't anticipate that being the case. I just think Spencer Martin is going to ultimately be a pretty well-paid practice goalie for the most part. But he is a good insurance policy against, arguably, the inevitable injury to either Kochetkov or Raanta. If Frederik Andersen comes back, Frederik Andersen comes back. Now, as we've said 1,000 other times, what Carolina needs in the goalie market on the deadline, and we are about 6 weeks away, will be determined by how Kochetkov plays starting February 6th against Vancouver. If Kochetkov is pretty close, if he resembles the one we saw before taking a shot against the Ducks and going to the infirmary, then if we see that Kochetkov, then you could argue that Carolina might just need somebody who can play, just in case Raanta gets hurt and Frederik Andersen doesn't come back. If Kochetkov isn't good, if we have pre-Ottawa Kochetkov, well, Carolina might need a legit goaltender. So it all depends on what Kochetkov is when he comes back. That'll determine what kind of goalie Carolina goes out. Obviously, they're sitting pretty well right now. 2 points out of first with the game in hand. Uh, Seth Jarvis had a couple of assists tonight. And here in his last 21 games, Jarvis has 6 goals and 13 assists. So almost a point a game in his last 21. And I'm telling you, he should have scored twice. He had a puck drop to him in the slot, and he couldn't beat Connor Ingram, who I thought played very well tonight. And he also took a power play shot from Aho, looked like it was like high up in the chest. But the puck fell to him and he spun, and he had a great look and score. So the puck's going to start going in for him pretty soon. And when that does, I wouldn't be surprised if what does Carolina have left now? They've played, I think, 48 games. Let's get the right number. Hold on. The Hurricanes have played 48 games. So they have 34 games left. I wouldn't be completely shocked if Seth Jarvis piled up 40 points in the last 34 games. Wouldn't be shocked at all if he did that. He's been playing that well. Essentially led Carolina's forwards in ice time over the last several weeks. He's been right there at the top. But Carolina's only got 2 forwards averaging more than 19 minutes on ice. Aho and Jarvis. Been pretty good. So Jarvis, 19 points in his last 21 games. This is since the Ottawa game. Aho, 33 points in the last 21 games. He got shut out tonight. 4-game point streak is over. Marty Necas has 4 goals in 5 games. I like the other aspect of Necas' game as much or more than I like the goals. So there were a couple of issues tonight. Again, he's part of the group, the trio that went off the ice when they shouldn't have, which led to the only Arizona goal. But I think there's been so much more good than not with Necas that it's such an encouraging thing because these games have become so important. Look, if Carolina was cruising at the top of the division early, like they were a year ago, and 2 years, if they were just, pasting everybody and running away, then these games wouldn't be as critical. But because they've been in second and been in chase mode really since, well, before Christmas, but certainly since then, the games have taken on a greater importance. And while they're not playing games, and Martin is still going to have to prove it in a playoff game, I just think it's a good sign that he won't shrink from the responsibility when we get into the playoffs. And if you could get, that's the, I'm not blaming Necas for last year. I'm not blaming him for the loss to Florida. But for the most part, Carolina got to the Eastern Conference Finals without him. He had one, I mean, absolutely brilliant game. Pretty sure it was in the Devil series where he made two plays that there are very few players in the NHL that can do it. He made just two great individual plays that led to goals for him. So, with this nature, the natures we have seen of late has been just absolutely dynamite. Um, all right, real quick, I don't know if I mentioned these numbers at all, but I'll throw them out there, and then I'll kind of peruse the comments. Since Santa Claus, the Hurricanes are 11-2-1. Started with the win on the road in Nashville. Tremendous. Since that game in Ottawa, this is where I prefer to go back to because from that point on, other than the really bad game, there were a couple of bad games. The one by Raanta against Nashville, which got him sent to the minor league, and the home loss to the Islanders where Kochetkov was bad. Other than those two games, Carolina's got really good goaltending. I mean, was it always, one of the three stars of the night? No. But there have been no nights other than those two games, home against Nashville, home against the Islanders, where Carolina's goaltending didn't give them a great chance to win or dominate the game. So for all of that, man, that is pretty doggone good. So um, anyway, a lot of good things that we saw tonight, and now we get a chance to just kind of relax for about 10 days. So the Canes, a lot of players are getting on planes tonight or tomorrow morning. They're flying off to some exotic locale. They're going to get like 3 or 4 days of sun or whatever, beach or wherever you go. Talk to Brendan Lemieux. He's going to go visit his family in Florida. Um, Rod's doing nothing. Hey, here's a plug. Thursday, Backyard Bistro in the shadow of PNC Arena right here. Kane's Corner, which normally is done by Mike Maniscalco, but he will not be in town on Thursday. I will be talking with the head coach, Roderick. So why don't you come out and say hey? So, um, yeah, Carolina's played great, and let's hopefully see them keep it up when we get back. All right, so we're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. And if you have any home improvement needs in the exterior of your home, you can find it right there. Let me answer Vince's question. What will it take to pry Lindholm from Calgary? Drury? Necas? If they wanted Orlov plus a cut of his salary, would you do it? I probably would, yeah. I don't know that. I mean, as much as I wouldn't like it, I could see Jack Drury being a part of that deal. But to get a player like Elias Lindholm, A, you want to know you could sign him. B, there's gonna be pain going the other way. I think for sure Carolina's first round pick will be involved. I don't see any way you're going to make that deal without your first round pick being involved. And I wouldn't be completely shocked if if there were other draft picks involved. I don't there's no way Calgary wants Orlov. Not on the not with even if Carolina eats some of the contract, what Tom Dundon is not going to do. Um, I think it's more likely that Calgary is Drury definitely. I don't think they'd be interested in Necas because Necas is a free agent after the year, and it's going to cost probably $7.5 million a year to sign Necas, and I don't believe Calgary is interested in that. I think it is likely first round pick plus maybe another pick, Kotkaniemi. If I were them, if I were Calgary, I would want Jalen Chatfield because Chatfield's not going to be expensive next year, and you can play him in your top four. Would I trade Jalen Chatfield? No, I would not. Um, but it all depends on what they think they can do with Elias Lindholm after this year. I think Lindholm is the key. A player like that is a key to winning a cup. Gives you right-handed. All right, we could insert any number of conversations we have had on this podcast about Lindholm. So, yeah, he's great, but I don't think Orlov's part of it, and I think Necas is going to be a tough trade because I don't see a team wanting to pay him because he's a free agent after the year. So he is a restricted free agent, so he still maintain his rights, but it's still going to be a fairly substantial number. I just don't see it. Maybe though. So, um, with that said, we got to go. I hope everybody has a wonderful All-Star break, and maybe you'll come out to Backyard Bistro on Thursday and hear me talk to the head coach for, let's see, how many games have we had? 48, a few in the preseason. I haven't done all of them for the 50th time this year. So, all right, we'll take a break, and we will see everybody after the break. So, thank you very much for joining us here on the Canes Corner Podcast. I am Adam Gold.